Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Wave podcast here at the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are back to discuss episode 8 of season 2 of Apple TV Plus's Severance. I am one of your hosts. My name is Darian Scalamoni. I am joined this time by Liz Seiko.
Hey, what's happening?
And Michael Peniston.
Hello, everyone.
Sweet Vitriol. That is the name of this episode, where we have our bottle episode. We have a big bottle episode. I guess our second in 3 weeks, because we had our big episode with Miss Casey a couple weeks back. And we finally check in on Harmony Cobel, who we've been discussing for many weeks where she's been. It's been quite a while since we've seen her. And we get a whole entire episode dedicated to her character, coming off of the end of last week's episode where it is, why can't I think of her name right now? Mark's sister, Devin. Devin is contemplating should she get Cobel on the phone with Robby, and Robby's like, if you're calling her, I'm getting out of here. And by the end of the episode, we see that she does actually make the call to Cobel. But let's discuss all of what this is. We get a lot of information on kind of where Cobel came from, her experiences with Lumen, and her impact on the severance process in general. So, Liz, I want to start with you. Patricia Arquette gets her standout episode of the season. What were your thoughts on this episode as a whole and her backstory?
My thoughts is that Patricia is a diamond that forever, anything she does, I'm just like in awe of. Her acting is impeccable. She can just flip so easily from like being like having our empathy as an audience member, and then also being like, no, this woman is terrifying though low key. So like she just is able to flip so easily, which I think makes her character just so compelling. But wow, yeah, a lot for Cobel this episode. We haven't seen her since episode 2.
I was gonna say it's been a long. I was gonna say 4 weeks, but yeah, 6 weeks.
Episode 2 is when she drove away, and we have not seen this woman since, which is crazy that she then gets her whole own episode. Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot. I think it just kind of gives her character a whole another layer for us to understand where she came from, why she cares so much too, and also why she feels like she has such skin in the game. And it clearly shows us in this episode that she not only has skin in the game, but she has created the game.
Yeah.
And so it's just a wild episode that I think is finally answering a lot of unopened questions for us, not in like the big scheme of like Mark, but side things that we've still been waiting for answers from season 1 about. So I really loved this episode. It was a little bit on the slower end, but I think it really gave us a great bigger picture to Lumen as a whole.
Michael?
I agree. I feel like Patricia's performance in this was just stellar. Every time we've seen Cobel on screen in this show, I just feel like she displays some type of emotion, and so it's always well. I will admit that this was probably my least favorite episode of the season. And not to say it wasn't good. I still think that, and it's funny how good this show is, that an episode like this that's revealing so much could still be like, I don't know. I think it was just the slower aspect of it.
It was slower.
Me. Yeah. And so, not that it was a bad episode at all. It was slower. But I enjoyed getting a lot of these answers for sure. And seeing this history. I feel like this is the first time we've seen Lumen as more of just like a more human sort of side, I guess you could say. Everything has been so confusing that it's like you don't know what to think. So it was nice to be able to see a backstory that came from just like, oh, like I think they worked on a sawmill growing up. That was, I think, the location. And it was cool, but it was also super eerie. And it kind of it showed where a little bit as to where we're at today with everything. Not entirely, but it paved way to remove a little bit more of that confusion. And so I'll leave it there. I enjoyed the episode. It wasn't a favorite, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it.
Not your favorite?
Also not my favorite. I think that there's part of it that could have, like, I do agree in terms of the information. It was like what we needed. Like we needed the backstory. But I think it could have been a B plot to another episode. I think they could have. There's certain things, like, again, there's like minute long. It's beautiful. The cinematography is fantastic as always in the show, but there's like minute long takes of like driving, and it's like, we don't need that. You could take a lot of the core of what this episode is and put it within something else. But at the same time, the pacing of the season, I think, is really well done. That'll remain to be seen by the end because we have 2 episodes left, and I'm worried that they're going to put us and the casual audience on a point where they're going to be like, how do we not have more answers? Like, we get a lot of answers from her role now in this, but now she has to drive from where she is to get back to where she was, which took a whole episode already the last time this happened this season. So I don't know. I think again, Patricia Arquette's a fantastic actress. She's a Oscar winner. I think she's won an Emmy. And I like her character a lot. So I was excited to kind of see us get more of her backstory. Salt's Neck, the locale, is a very interesting place. And just kind of the dystopian sci-fi element of the ether that they're all intaking, and just the desolateness of where they came from, and seeing that apocalyptic kind of feel that doesn't feel fully apocalyptic. It was a really interesting sort of setting, and I liked what was in the episode, but I don't know if it needed to be a full episode. And it was the shortest episode of the season. It was 37 minutes. So it's like you could have probably taken part of that and just put it in another episode. And I think for some people it had a great impact, but for some people it had a negative impact, which I think sucks. Because like Michael said, like, I don't think it's a bad episode at all. I think it's a really good episode of television. But the reality is Severance is so high level that it's like when you get an episode like this that you're getting information, but it took you like 30 minutes to get the information you were looking for out of the 37. It's like, okay, we get it. And then the bomb drops and you're like, okay, this is cool. But then you're like, well, it felt like I didn't even really watch an episode of Severance.
Do you think it's because it comes after like kind of another separated episode already of Miss Casey?
I think this would have been more beneficial earlier. I think this would have been a good episode to have around episode 4. I mean, 6 weeks without Cobel is a long time. So if you put this somewhere in the middle, let's say episode 4.
So after episode 4?
Or
episode 4 was what? Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you can't. I mean, you could have done it, but again, it's a separate story. You could have really put it anywhere. And then you could have had, as a viewer, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, Cobel. Well, I guess it all leads to the end of the episode, which is...
It all leads to, I think, Cobel's redemption, because up to this point, we all think that she's just nuts and is not a person that should be trusted. But I think this is kind of her redemption episode of being like, she got screwed over by Lumen too, in a huge way. Yeah. And now it's believable that she's going to team up with Mark and his sister. If they hadn't really let this like sit and show us her full story and scope, I don't know if people would have fully bought that like she's going to now be on team like take down Lumen.
No, I agree. But I do think that you still could have had the viewers taken that in 20 minutes compared to 37 minutes.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
It, though.
I liked it too. I like the I like when you have the kind of slow takes overlooking her history and where she came from, like, and seeing just how entrenched her whole entire family was.
Whole town
with Egan, yeah,
too, because the whole reason that it's a desolated town now is because Lumen shut down its factory and left, essentially. And so I think it's also showing the damage that Lumen's doing to places that it's not the damage that it's doing to people, and the resentment that people are starting to have toward Lumen. And it's starting to show that there's like bigger groups that would be willing to go against them. And it's not that everybody is just like peace, love Lumen. Like there are people that are like, fuck Lumen, they ruined us.
Yeah, 100%. Does this confirm my cult theory?
Yes, to an extent.
Michael?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. It was the I forget what the name of the character was. I think it was like
Sissy.
Sissy. Yes, Sissy. That was the character.
Who's her aunt?
Celestine.
Who's her aunt? Actually, it's not. Like,
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was her sister at first or it was okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
I looked it up.
Yeah, no. Sissy was like I feel like to a T represented like your common like, I'm using religion to justify, or at least I've been told a certain thing that it comes with the aspect of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting all of my trust on that now. And you could see how it was like anything Cobel said to her was like wrong, because clearly Cobel is now like anti all of this.
Because she says that they've already spoken to her about it too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who? Wait. Say. What are you saying?
The sissy.
Yeah.
Like she said that the one guy,
Mr. Drummond.
Yeah.
Called the house. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
she they've already told her like she's on the outs. Don't listen to her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I feel like with her, it's, but I'm also getting like the same, like sort of, I keep making this comparison, especially with America today. Sorry, people, but I keep saying that it's like you're common, like a slave owner back in the day who like would like use the word or like the Bible to justify the actions of what they're doing. And I got very much a lot of tones of that from Sissy, and not just Sissy. I feel like she represents a what's the word? Not like city when you're like kind of branched out more country, but that's not the word. But like she's away from there. I don't even know where they're at, to be honest. Right in this.
I don't know if it's supposed to be a specific place, but I got like Maine vibes.
Yeah, you know,
It was filmed in Newfoundland, so it's not in the U.S.
Oh.
okay.
But
Okay. It was just very
desolate.
That's the word. Yes. And so I don't know, with all of that, it just it that's something I feel like you would have then a lot of cult behavior too, and a lot of trust in not knowing everything. And it was just, I don't know, Sissy was
I think this is Ben Stiller's way of talking about the way that the corporate world is, which I think we've all discussed, with a mixture of Scientology. I think that's what this is.
Okay.
I got the most Scientology vibes ever from this episode, especially I think because of the way it's represented as the Church of Scientology, and you're bringing in even younger people to be welcomed into that and understand the meaning of what that is. Like the fact, well, it could be any religion, I guess, but the other part is that we see when Harmony goes in her mother's room that she also has a bunch of Kier stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is the initial person that probably worshipped Kier, and then from a very young age, Harmony was a member, or whatever it was that you said. One of you guys said that Miss Huang was a member of.
It's the Special Lumen Fellowship Program.
Yes, and she was the recipient of that previously. There's a picture of Harmony with James Egan, who is Helena's father.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of weird connection with that as well. So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of detail, again, you get in this episode. It's just bottle episodes are hard because you're isolating around one character and it takes you out of the story, and with a story that's as convoluted as Severance is, especially at this point in the season. That's why I think it didn't hit as well. But you did ask, you were like, is there a place where it could fit in the season? Like you could take like 98% of this episode and put it in another order, but then you have the ending of the episode that brings us back to Devon.
Yeah.
And you have to get us to that point anyway, because now they need Cobel to help Mark.
And do you think she fully helps them, or do you think she still is kind of on the fence of like getting back in good with Lumen?
I think that she is going to fully help them. I do. I think that I don't know. I feel like the reveal of seeing her designs in this episode really hit the nail as far as like, no, this company did me dirty. And I like the fact that she came out here kind of seeking answers to a degree herself and left here now probably even more mad. I feel like, yeah, she's definitely coming back to at least try and expose, I don't know, something with Lumen. And we all have seen now her connection to Mark and these characters. I feel like this was the justification that she needed to be able to go back and be like, no, I'm helping these people, and Devon, whatever needs to happen. I see her. We're forming the Avengers of taking down.
I was gonna say no. I think it's. And you've been saying that all season, and I think this is. I feel there's going to be an uprising, and I do think Milchick might be one of the missing pieces.
Yeah.
Eventually, because I still don't think Milchick is happy, and I think he's going to have to be a key cog in the machine for all of that.
I have some crazy theories to go with. You guys keep going.
No, I was gonna say I just agree with what you're saying. I think that Cobel's gonna come back, and I think there's an element of her that obviously she's upset because like this is her design, and now she got fired for which is insane. Like she's the only reason that they have the Severance program.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously Lumen has dealt in many different things. We might not even get all the answers to that by the end of the series, what they've had their hands in. We know that they've had hands in fertility. They've had hands in animals. They've had blood work. They're now doing these experiments with Miss Casey and Gemma, obviously. And I think that also is part of it. I think that this new division or whoever's running Severance, I think that part of it is that she's also not happy with the way that things are being run now. She doesn't feel like it aligns with her beliefs of Kier. And I think Severance was one thing, and now they're trying to do this whole thing that you obviously were discussing last week, Liz, or a couple weeks ago, with them trying to build this whole
separation of trauma.
Yeah, like this threshold of pain, essentially. And I think that is probably a direction maybe Cobel didn't want to go in, and they were like, all right, well, you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine, we'll put it on the lower level and you won't have anything to do with it.
I think this episode also shows that Lumen goes and starts developing things, but then they do shut it down. Like they clearly had this whole foundation of a warehouse and like some sort of thing that they wanted to establish factory wise out here, but for some reason they completely shut it down and moved it. So it's like maybe they are putting their hands in too many pockets and are going to start losing control over the things that they've started and need to start ending it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said it, was it last week, that I was like curious if we were ever going to see other like parts of the world in which Lumen was operating. And you see kind of, again, like it seems like it's the formation of Lumen, but then we also got when Bert and his husband and Fields and Irv were sitting down and they were saying that this has existed for 20 years. And Irv was like, I thought they've only been around for 12. Like,
but then it's like Cobel wrote the Severance like prototype essentially. So it hasn't been around that long if she wrote it.
For Severance, but I don't know about Lumen. And
Yeah.
again, what the dealings in which Lumen is real. I mean, they're doing everything, I think. And I think that's maybe part of what Ben Stiller's kind of getting at, is like it's all about control at the end of the day.
I think he's commenting on like big corporations having their hands in too many things.
Could also be a commentary on the film industry.
In what way?
With conglomerates taking over.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
I could just see that being a thing because I know how dedicated he is to like filmmaking and things like that and original stories. I could see him also when the show is over being like, this is also a commentary on how I feel about the way the film industry is, which has become more corporate and it's become something in which
like
so I mean it is. It's literally there's like 4 studios now.
Yeah.
There used to be tens, hundreds. You know what I mean? Like we went from a bunch, now it's like there's Disney, Paramount, Sony, and Apple. And it's ironic that the show was made for Apple. I think that's like the most ironic part of this show.
They're like coming for Apple in this show, I feel like. And they're like, and you paid us to make this.
Exactly.
Okay, but Michael, I want to hear some of your theories that you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, first to your whole, as far as like the whole Lumen coming and then leaving so quick, a theory that I just thought about now, I do feel like Lumen is the type of company that once they have control over a person in like the certain space that they're in, they're like, we're ready to go. So like the whole Miss Casey thing, I mean, not Miss Casey, the whole Gemma thing, what's it called? Like, I mean, like I could be wrong. They still could be doing fertility things and these clinics and stuff, but like for all we know, they could have got Gemma and we're like, we're good. Like we're not going to be a public. So it's like, I feel like because they got Cobel in her family,
they were like, oh, we're good. We don't need.
Exactly. Then they got the designs too.
Because last episode you were talking about that you think that they're pointed at who they're trying to pick out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're going after certain people in the world.
Yeah. And so I definitely think that maybe these designs or something, and I don't know, there was something that triggered them to be like, we're coming here, we're going to meet these family, we're going to do our little thing for a little bit, and then we're going to dip and take them with us. So that's just a theory I had right now, but I do have other theories, a lot of with other characters, which are crazy because there's a Cobel episode and I have theories about other characters, but I just need to get them all out.
Hit them with us. What do you got?
Okay, so I'm going to start with Milchek. Do you guys think, I'm going to phrase it more of as like a question. Do you guys think that Milchek in some way or another was a part of maybe this internship program that happened the way that Miss Casey maybe had been And do you think, maybe not even necessarily that, but do you think that there is some sort of background with his character and all of this as far as that?
You're saying the internship, you said internship program that Miss Casey was in.
Yes. That now we know that.
I think you mean
Am I missing up the name?
what's her name?
Miss Wan.
Okay.
And,
do I think Milchick was a part of that same program?
Because Cobel was.
Cobel was. I can see it. I mean, it's not something that I think is too out of the ordinary, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm totally sold on it, but I also don't think it's that outlandish of an idea.
Okay. I have a crazy theory that he was a part of it. Not only that, I think that Natalie is his wife. And I think that that Natalie and him came from that, and something happened where they don't, that, like, because remember the moment that we had where he asked her about that, and there was like a really strange, Natalie was already fake in that moment. So like I know we had the discussion of, is Natalie even real? But I think that there's something connecting those two characters that we don't know.
Well, that could even go into what I've been saying from the beginning with Helena having a real connection with Mark, even though Helly's the real one with the connection with Mark, you know?
Okay, so then you think Milchick is severed?
I don't even know if he's necessarily severed. Like, he could be, and that's just something we haven't really experienced yet. But I do feel like, as far as the background of Milchick and these characters, a lot of these characters are coming from a place similar to like Miss Wan and similar to Cobel, where they were like brought in at a young age. Like in a way, and this is kind of going drastic with it, but like imagine Miss Wan grew up, but like whatever like sort of things that get to her in the internship program, you know, it stuck with her and sort of thing. Like I'm picturing like a Milchick being like that, like a grown up version of that.
I could definitely see him being a part of the like fellowship program. I just don't know if I love that concept of them being married. I just don't know if it actually like makes sense, because I don't think Milchick is severed. And if that was his wife, I think that they would have much more
story
interaction.
Okay.
Unless like she's severed and they divorced and he's just like,
I wonder if they're like siblings. Now I'm thinking, like, what if they're siblings? It's the same way like they tried it, like they're trying it through marriage with Mark and Gemma, and maybe they tried it with siblings previously. And it could also play into, like, again, the cloning thing. Like, Miss Wong could grow up to be somebody, but Miss Wong is a clone of a younger version of somebody else that died.
So you think that, like, maybe Milchick is a clone? Like, he died and then they brought him back?
I think it might be Natalie.
I could see that.
If it's one of the two, I think it's more Natalie.
I know, but, like, for me, Milchick then would...
You wouldn't know what she would look like when she was older. You know?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
So you think that like Natalie died at a young age and then they say whatever they did to Miss Casey. They brought her back and she just matured.
Grew with Lumen.
And wanted to see if he would recognize her.
Probably. Because I mean, I still can't get that image out of my head of her reacting.
I think it's a lot. I think that's a lot, guys. Like, to be honest,
like, I don't want to talk about it
I'll
anymore.
be honest. I think that's like, if that's true, it would have already been kind of like sprinkled in there. And I just don't think there's enough interaction between the two of them for that big of a bomb to be dropped.
I don't think it's going to be dropped by the end of the season, but I think it could be a thing.
I do. I think that it not only could be a thing, I think that there's just connection between these characters. Maybe they're not like married or like siblings or stuff like that, but I do think that they come from the same place where they don't remember each other, obviously. Like that was probably taken out. I don't know. There's just really weird things I'm noticing with a lot of these characters, and I feel like, especially the ones that are so driven on this, they had to have been brainwashed at a young age. I don't know. It just feels like
I guess through the cult. That is brainwashing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right. What's another theory? Hit us with another one.
Okay. We kind of went over this a little bit last week as far as the testing rooms, but did we really get into the whole Irv thing with it?
Irv with the testing rooms?
I think that Irv in the past was a similar sort of character to Gemma as far as being used in these testing rooms. And I think that Britt was his doctor. That was like the same way Gemma had this. And I think that Britt at some point, and could be dragged out. All of these theories are probably dragged out, guys. Sorry. But
this is like I really can't do this right now.
I've been thinking hard, guys.
No, I know. Michael, usually we're blowing Michael's mind in these episodes.
You know what it was?
No,
this was a bottle episode about Miss Cobel.
No,
We're discussing six other characters.
Like, where's the through line right now? Where?
So,
All right, keep going. No, keep explaining it.
I think it's just been like my own buildup of these past couple episodes and all of this. So I think that obviously there's still connection to Irv and seeing these hallways and the dark rooms. We still don't know all of his background. I think that Irv is somebody that has also been tested as far as severed multiple times, and he might not realize that. He obviously has a connection to the hallway, and I think that it does go further because I think that Irv has been here longer than he even realizes, and he just doesn't remember that, and maybe they severed him to not remember that. I also feel like I still am running on the theory that Britt is in some way a higher up
involved
with Lumen. And after getting the episode last week with Gemma and her doctor and seeing the way that the doctor tried to almost like trick her with certain play to get her to fall in love, I just see that being something that Britt would do to Irv in that situation. Irv would start to like him. And remember how like there was like a past situation, like who was his husband again? Fields that brought up that could have been Britt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could have been Irv, like at then, and like maybe they just severed the two of them, maybe Britt as well, to the point of now bringing them to where Irv was now at MDR, because it was like maybe they kept coming back to each other to the point where then Britt they had to just retire because it was that big of a deal.
That's severe that it happened multiple times.
Yeah.
I could be on the train for this one because if we're going down the route of what they're doing with Gemma is like trauma based. Irv was definitely like an army soldier of some sort, so maybe they're trying to test of like how can they rid his trauma and like sever him so many times so that he knows that he went through something but he doesn't know exactly what. I could be on that.
I do.
I like that. I'm on that. I'll jump on that train with you.
Yeah, I'm on there.
I'm
Michael,
on the
you
train.
got me. You got me. I'm on.
Seatbelt done. I'm ready to go. I'll take a drink, sir. I'm on the train.
All right. Hey,
I'm on the train.
All right.
I like that one.
Thank you.
First one, like I think it's the same thing as Liz. Like I want to believe that it might be something like that, but at the same time, I'm not sure. I still feel weird about Milchick and Natalie, though. There is something so weird about them that I just don't understand, and there's gonna have to be an answer to it. But I don't know.
Do you have another theory or?
I think I have one more. And it's a quick one. This one we actually did talk about, but vaguely. I think that I do. I'm just going to back up your theory because I think this was more of your theory. I do think that Cold Harbor is death. I do think that it is. And I think that if we're going to witness something happen where they either torture Gemma in a way of, well, first we got that question about the drowning. I think you brought that up too. But I think we're going to see something where they might try and hurt Mark in front of Gemma, or other way around. I just see something playing out with Cold Harbor where it is death, and I think that that's where we're going to see the interaction between the two of them. And it might not even be that. They could even just show Gemma a video of Helly and him doing things and stuff like that, because the doctor already said like, oh no, he has like a wife and kid, to you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know, this is just another thing I was thinking. I was like, first of all, Cold Harbor will probably be death.
I think it is.
It is, yes.
Because they asked her, they're like, would you rather drown or be suffocated? Which like low-key same thing.
Yes.
But then she says drown.
Yes.
Why? Like, why is that being asked?
Yes. But I do think...
What are you smiling about?
It's just a weird bit.
Weird bit, man.
It's a weird bit. It is.
Same thing.
The
Drowning,
show's
suffocation.
fucking weird, dude.
It's so weird.
It really is. It's
It
crazy.
is.
I mean, Dan Erickson, who we discussed I think a couple weeks ago, like this guy's brain is
wild.
Insanity.
It is.
I've never seen a show like this.
I do think that, and this I'll leave it at this. This is my last note to say. We do have the chance of seeing a moment where they might do something to Gemma, bring Mark to this testing room, and entering season 3, Mark could end up becoming the new Testy. Did we say that last week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But so a theory of ours throughout this whole time has been that they're going to end on Cold Harbor being 100% and then boom, season's done. Do you still think that's going to happen? Or do you think Cold Harbor finishes in the next episode and then we see the aftermath of it in the finale?
No, I think they're ending it episode 10.
You think Cold Harbor finished?
They still got to be a TV show. They still got to get people on
they
board.
They got to have enough to
3.
talk about next season.
I know. Yeah, I think they're ending on episode 10.
You do.
All right.
I don't like that answer.
No, I think a lot of people are actually, I think how happy an audience is watching this so far throughout the season. I think people are going to be really annoyed at the finale.
I think so.
I don't think it's going to be a satisfying one.
I do.
Unfortunately.
I do. I think it will focus on Cold Harbor. I think it's going to be that interaction between them. And maybe they might do something that hints like, oh, we just killed Gemma. We just killed Mark. And it'll end right there. I'm telling you, it's going to be something like that. Probably.
I think that people are going to be unhappy with the finality of when the show is over. I think it's going to be one of those endings that's very controversial.
Well, yeah, because...
And you were you the one that said they asked Ben Stiller that or whatever?
Oh, he was like, you might not like it.
You might not like it. And I think that part of it was him trying to be like, you might not want to know what it is. But I do think that there's a part of it that I really think he's like, I don't think you guys are going to like the ending that I have.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a happy ending.
No,
because
it's not going to be a happy ending.
Either way, in order for like the people that have been severed to live a like unsevered life, their innie has to die in a way. Or so like either way, people are going to be dying and there's just going to be loss.
The only way I see a happy ending,
there's no way.
No, I mean, again, it wouldn't be a happy ending, but I could see like there being a way in which, like, again, all the trauma is taken away from all these characters, and then Gemma and Mark re-meet
for the first time. Is like they don't know each other.
Yeah,
but their hearts connect for the first time.
I'm not saying it like that. They're like, oh, you look familiar, and like, I love you.
Like, there's just something about you.
No, I think it would be something. I don't know. Like, I don't know why this is the reference I'm making, but it would remind me of like the ending of Dark Knight Rises. You know what I'm talking about? Where like Bale looks over at Alfred and he's like,
oh, at the table,
and then like the person walks past and Alfred's not there anymore. It's like, I'm just letting you know I'm here. Like, it would be something where I think like they would like be at like a coffee shop. I don't even know why I'm predicting this whole thing right now, but they're like at a coffee shop and they like look at each other and they're like he notices something she's reading, and it could be something from like the blood test, and he's like does something, and then they like go like this, and then it ends with them like sitting and having coffee. That's like the only way I can see it like be a happy ending, because you're right, like people are gonna die.
I can't picture it, guys.
I can't either.
I can't.
The only way.
The whole world's gonna explode at the end of this.
I mean, that could be it too. I wouldn't put it past Lumen to have like a destroy the world button.
That's crazy.
You'd buy it, Liz.
Wow.
You'd buy that button.
We can't have that said on this podcast.
No, this is totally going to be in the end.
We need to cut that.
We're cutting it. Just kidding. We're not. We're leaving it in. Thank you guys for watching Severance episode 8 of season 2. We have 2 episodes left. Let us know in the comments what are some of your theories. Join Michael on the train. Give us some of your theories. Give this video a like. Subscribe to us here at the Culture Wave Media Network. We're covering tons of other things right now on the channel. We're watching The White Lotus. We're watching Daredevil Born Again. We have reviews upcoming for Mickey 17, for Snow White. What else are we covering? Black Bag, Opus, bunch of stuff we're going to be covering going forward. So be sure to check all those out if you guys can. And you guys can follow us on social media if you don't already. All those handles are below me in the video currently, and in our YouTube description, there's a bunch of stuff for you guys to check out there that you guys can't see here on YouTube. So be sure to do that as well. Just signing off, I'm Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Liz Seiko.
I'm Mikey Peniston.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.